Hi, this week on the channel we're going to talk about how it is that intuitives are the very people who are often taken in by bad guys. I did a segment on intuition 2 weeks ago, and that question has been posed by many people since. So this week we're going to go there in depth. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome to my channel. This week we're going to talk about training your intuition to accept bad news. So this is all part and parcel to a segment that I did 2 weeks ago on the topic of intuition, what it is, how it works, how to get better at it. And I had a lot of questions about, specifically the questions were, how is it that I, an intuitive, this person writing, keep getting hurt by bad people, even though I saw the signs, even though I knew what was coming, and I still stepped into the puddle, the muddy puddle. So that was just one question out of several. So we're going to go there. We're going to talk about this because I think it's a valid thing. It has happened to me as well from time to time, recently even. So we're going to talk about it. Empathic individuals are often portrayed as being very vulnerable. This is not the first we've heard of this in the media. But friends of mine have said to me, who wouldn't want a superpower? Or who wouldn't want to be able to be a human lie detector, that sort of thing, because that's how they view me. I am pretty intuitive. These friends are referring to being able to spot lies, smelling toxic people coming, and sensing when a situation just feels wrong. I'm that one who steps outside the door and says, I don't think we should go in. Let's leave. That sort of thing. And people listen to me. People who know me heed my warnings often. Friends will bring new guys around for me to check them out and let them know what I think. And it all sounds great on the surface, right? I mean, it does. It sounds lovely, except that there's a problem. And the problem is that the other 90-something% of the population don't work that way. And there's a lot of different ways that you can measure who's intuitive and who isn't. A lot of it is just performance and accuracy, history of being intuitive and being accurate. But of course, there's the Myers-Briggs personality test, which that little N is intuitive versus the S, which is the sensing type. And there's just not that many of us around. The INFJ in particular is 1%, which is thought to be the most intuitive of the different personality, the 16 different personality types. It represents about 1.5% of the population. So we're in the minority by quite a lot and live in a world where other people make judgments from logic and experience, not from a bad feeling. So the empathic individual, or what I call the intuitive, can't explain him or herself to anyone. Very few people are going to really understand this. And even worse than not being able to explain it to anyone else, we can't explain it to ourselves. And this presents a quandary. As a result, these people tend to feel bad about feeling bad about someone or something else. Someone's situation, something that's happening in someone's life. And they hope that what they think is a lie when they hear it is really the truth. And what feels bad is actually good. So they tend to deny others and themselves the truth as they feel it, as they see it. The inability to explain the bad, followed by the desire to see the good in people, is the core deficit for the intuitive. And society supports this by saying things to him and her like, oh, You always see the good in people. That's what I love about you. So we kind of undo ourselves in this way. And there may be another reason why it's so hard for intuitives to just accept the truth. Remember that intuitives feel what others feel. I mean, they literally feel the emotion that others feel. It hurts to run negative emotion through you. So why take that in when you can apply society's "you always see the good in people" rule and run the positive aspects through instead? And it's true, we can see the good in people. So that's almost easier if you're good at it. When an intuitive sees the ugly truth, he or she tends to look for any shred of good in the individual. He or she tends to see the damaged child inside of the adult who's injuring other people today. He or she tends to look for the path to redemption for this person, asking him or herself the question, how can I fix him? How can I fix her? Why is it important not to get lost in all this? Well, I think it's probably obvious to a lot of us, but let's just review a few things. You'll avoid giving away your energy. You'll avoid giving away your money in many cases. You'll avoid giving away your time. You'll avoid giving away your heart to a bad guy, which was the question that was posed that led to this talk today. It's like having a narcissist radar when you actually use it, when you don't deny the early sensations that you have. How can you get better at it? So I did a talk 2 weeks ago on getting better at intuition itself, at honing your intuition. I will put a link right here. But there are also ways to get better at protecting yourself from avoiding what you see, stopping yourself from avoiding what you see. You can protect yourself with knowledge, such as what you're viewing here today, and other things that you can learn on the internet about intuition. Specifically, the knowledge of why you're vulnerable. You can protect yourself with imagery, whether it's roses, rainbows, or bubbles. Those are 3 that I use. Put up the protection. And we'll have more on this in a minute. Find your personal faucet. Find that little faucet that you can turn and know when to let stuff in and when to let stuff out. We'll get to more of that in a minute as well. Set boundaries. And let's talk about all of this in depth. One of the hallmarks of intuitives is their oneness with others. That's how they connect. They tend not to see and feel the same boundaries that most of the population do. Although this is what allows them to see the problem and often the solution with a person or a situation, it also makes them much, much more vulnerable. So it's important to have boundaries that you can use when you need to. For instance, you might feel your friend's pain, literally feel it, when her boyfriend breaks off their relationship of 3 years. But you'll definitely need a boundary when she wants to talk all night and you've got to be to work at 8 a.m. for an important meeting. And then the next day when her eyes are so swollen that she can't go to work and she asks if you'll call her boss and tell him that she's down with the flu and can't come in. And then later that same day when she mentions that you never liked him anyway, so maybe it's for the best. And you're just stunned because you can't recall having ever said that or even having felt it. In fact, you quite liked him. Whenever someone tries to tell me what I said that I didn't, or what I'm feeling that I'm not, my boundaries go shooting up like laser beams. I consider this an invasion of my thoughts and my feelings. I'm the only person who gets to interpret my own sensibilities. Unless, of course, I invite my friend's help to help me figure out how I'm feeling about a situation. That's different. And expecting me to hold your hand while you cry on my couch all night is an invasion of my space, my time, and my energy. And of course, asking me to lie to your boss for you is an invasion of my moral, ethical conscience. Now, this situation hasn't actually happened. I'm kind of making this up just as examples. But these are all boundaries that everyone, not just intuitives, need. Personal beliefs and feelings, space, time, energy, morals, and also spiritual beliefs and our money should have boundaries around them. In my rule book, I have locks on my personal beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, and my morals. I'm pretty tight with my money, but I'm also generous. But I often find myself walking around in the minds and hearts of others because they seem to need me too. This is an example of being willing to go outside of your own boundary, but not getting contaminated in the process. This is perhaps the most difficult boundary to build. I personally visualize it as me walking into the garden of another person's mind and heart, but inside of my own personal bubble, a bubble that holds my own mind and heart intact as I go. On the other hand, space, time, energy boundaries, those I tend to keep open until they are abused. I keep the hinges well oiled and know how to put up those boundaries when needed. Many of the words I've used today in this talk may sound like cliches. Laser beams going up, well-oiled hinges, staying inside of a bubble. But I actually use these visualizations and recommend that you do as well. Intuitives tend to be very visual. Imagery is a resource for us. We can use it to build our boundaries and to build in flexibility, such as hinges, where it feels right for us to do so. Now, I hope this has been enough for you. A lot of what I'm recommending for us is simply awareness and the willingness to accept a negative impulse, a negative sensibility, a negative feeling about another person. As I said, that is the core deficit. That and the willingness to push it aside and look for the good, which of course we can also find, because there's at least a shred of good in everyone. So that's what I have for you today. I hope this is helpful. Clearly, this is not an easy topic. I hope that those of you who reached out with a question get what you need from this talk. Thank you for stopping by today, and I will see you midweek for my midweek sneak peek. See you then.